one of the games that has come out over the last year or so is Moon Studios is No Rest for the Wicked. Now, I don't know if you guys ever played this game, but I praise this game a lot because I really like it. It did have some like technical issues where it wasn't as smooth as coming out, but it is in early access. Okay, it's in early access, and I have going on record to say on Twitter that it's the studio head Thomas Mahler is an absolute legend. Now, I wouldn't say that he's a gamer gator. I think that he's a centralist, but he has absolutely resisted the influence of the modern day video game industry, all the woke stuff that we talk about. And he's been very open about that. And in my personal opinion, I believe that gamers should at least go and give No Rest for the Wicked a try. I mean, I would ask my audience, and I've gone on record to tell, Hypno, I think that Hypnotic should, talk to him or whatever the case may be, get people to, maybe his audience to try the game out. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say, hey, yo, it's a great game or it's the best game ever. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying people should try the game out. I think it's awesome, especially as a Souls-like that is kind of a ARPG type. But anyway, it's more than controversy now because apparently a journalist by the name of Jez Gordon, and I am very familiar with Jez Gordon because Jez Gordon is on the Xbox 2 podcast, and back when I used to be an Xbot, you know what I'm saying? Very embarrassed to say that. Yes, I was an Xbox fan. I would watch the Xbox 2 podcast all the time. And so he had this article to write, and it's titled Ori and the Blind Forest studio head says they could be forced to shut down due to the impact of negative Steam reviews for No Rest for the Wicked. So we're going to come all the way, because a lot of this is a lot of recap. We're going to come all the way down here. And this is basically what he's reporting on. This is from Discord, where Thomas Mahler himself says, oops, I was trying to get rid of that ad and it won't go away. Okay. I think people think I'm joking when I'm asking for positive reviews, because in people's minds, there's always some big publisher in the background who will cover cost. Folks, if you're writing here and are enjoying Wicked and are excited for the future updates but haven't left a positive review, it's entirely possible that we won't be around in a couple of months to do anything anymore, simply because we got review bomb, which leads to people not buying the game, which means we're not making any money and we'll have to shut down. I wouldn't ask if our business wouldn't be dependent on it. I also never write reviews on anything, but if you want to see us actually finish Wicked, it's detrimental that we get the review score up. Now, first things first, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's not good. So first things first is nobody's obligated to write a positive review on your game if it's not good. Okay, I just want to throw that out there. So if your game's not good, I don't know how many people are going to go and write a positive review. But however, I don't think that Thomas Mahler is asking for positive reviews for the sake of getting positive reviews or saying because our game is good. I think what he's asking for is to help combat the whatever review bombing that they might have had. Now, you might be asking, what the hell were they review bomb for? You know what I'm saying? Well, let's take a look. This is what he had to say. He responded to Jez Gordon, because Jez Gordon put out a tweet basically with the title of the article, and this is what he had to say. LOL, this is what happens when the press just picks up Discord posts and writes an article around them. Overall, pretty much everyone who's tried Wicked after the last few hot fixes is extremely positive. The reason I left the post on Discord up was simply to push back against some of the bullshit reviews. I've been hated on Twitter by a few crazies for years now. And I also saw the calls for review bombing because, according to those folks, I'm a Nazi. These days, apparently anyone who doesn't include 5 trans characters in their game and doesn't let their products be influenced by political bullshit is a Nazi. What a world we live in. That is a fact. That is a holy. That is a... Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. Absolutely. When the Russia-Ukraine war broke out, and I replied on Twitter saying that Moon Studios wouldn't be taking a public stance because we're a video game company and not a journalistic outlet, the next day a threat letter with a picture of Putin was taped to my office door, full of insults from top to bottom. If that's allowed, then it should be allowed for a developer to encourage their players to share their real experiences. And no, we're not in an immediate financial danger, but from time to time, I think I'm allowed to speak up about issues within our industry I personally find unbecoming. We're continuing, as always. Our goal is for every game Moon Studios creates to be an absolute masterpiece. And with Wicked, we're already on the way. We want our small 90-person company to push companies like Blizzard, GGG, and others to innovate by putting out products that are top quality and truly unique. We believe in competition, and we think players will win because of that. Woo! And if people don't believe me, this is what I'm talking about with receipts. If people don't believe me, here's what hung on my office door on the 22nd of April last year. It's not always fun to be a game developer, and this was done simply because we said that we'd want players from all over the world to be able to play our games. And there's the picture right there. Moon Studios is a sponsor of the Russian terrorism boycott of the No Rest for the Wicked. There you go. Jez Gordon says, I quoted you verbatim. LOL. Yes, but context matters, Jez. As a journalist, you should know that. And I don't think you know what verbatim means. I added a ton of context you apparently didn't read. Should I add this in too? So, and then they continue. Thomas should know what he was doing with it's entirely possible that we won't be around in a couple of months to do anything anymore simply because we got review bombed. Now he's using the context card, but he said exactly what the headline means. And Jed says, yeah, I'm kind of wondering if I got played, to be honest. Well, played if so. And then Thomas Mahler says, all in the game, you know that most people only read a headline and what you can do because of that. I can do my thing. Ultimately, the only thing that matters is the quality of the product, and anything that's not about that is just noise. Okay. All right. So much to unpack there. So there's so much going on here. Jez Gordon says, I quoted you verbatim. And there does need to be a little bit of accountability on Thomas Mahler's side, where he said it's entirely possible that we won't be around in a couple of months to do anything. So what he was trying to do, what Thomas Mahler was trying to do there is he was trying to motivate the people who enjoy the game to write a positive review. Me personally, I don't think anything is wrong with that. Jez Gordon, on the other hand, has a very provocative headline, which, as a YouTuber who makes very provocative headlines and asks you to watch the video to get the context, I don't necessarily disagree with that. Now, while we're not going to go and read this entire article, I read it, and I don't see anywhere in here that Jez Gordon included the context of Thomas Mahler is just trying to motivate his audience to fight back against negative reviews. I don't see that. Now, maybe I missed something. If Jez Gordon did put that in there, then I apologize. You know what I'm saying? I can't do a reprint, but whatever. I don't see that context. And so in my mind, I think Jez Gordon here I don't think Jez Gordon is purposely trying to misrepresent what Thomas Mahler is doing. However, I do think that there's a little bit of bad journalism here, because what should have happened is Jez Gordon should have absolutely reached out to Thomas Mahler to ask him what he means by this. That's where you messed up. Jez Gordon should have absolutely reached out to Thomas Mahler and asked him, what do you mean by that? You get what I'm saying? And so in my personal opinion, the clown horn of this video goes to Jez Gordon. Absolutely clown work. Because that's normally, anytime somebody has to write an article on you, they should come to you and ask, do you have anything to say about this? Do you have any comments on this? But that's not what Jez Gordon did. Now, what you could take the angle of, because like I said, Jez Gordon, and let me do this. Jez Gordon, more than likely, doesn't like Thomas Mahler because of his centralist takes. You know, not wanting to get involved with DEI, calling out other studios for, you know, behaving in certain ways or monetizing their audience in certain ways or including certain things in their games. So it doesn't surprise me that a games journalist would jump on the opportunity to dunk on Moon Studios and Thomas Mahler. That doesn't surprise me in the slightest. But I can't confirm to you whether or not there's any animosity there. What I do know is replying to the studio, because normally, remember guys, the journalists are normally slaves to the studios unless they have a vendetta to pick. So for him to respond with the sarcasm of, I quoted you verbatim, instead of hitting him up and saying, hey, listen, if I got anything wrong in this, tell me where I got wrong and I'll tell you where I'm coming from. The sarcastic nature in which Jez Corden, whatever his name is responding tells me there might be a little bit of animosity there. I don't know. Normally, games journalists are bending over backwards to maintain any positive relationship with the studios at all. But remember that Jez Corden works for Windows Central, which is a Microsoft company, and there's likely either animosity there because of his unwillingness to bend to the industry's whim, and there's animosity for Moon Studios no longer working with Microsoft or Xbox. So I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. As always, may the grift be with you. I'll talk to y'all later. And also, man, make sure y'all like the video. Subscribe to the channel as well, man. We're trying to get back into the algorithm around here.
Oh, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.